Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and this is an updated weather report on the hurricane situation and our current weather outlook for the morning. Just woke up and did a little bit more research on things, take a look at everything. Was looking at it last night as well as I was looking at the atmospherics and everything and see what's going on. This hurricane has now been downgraded to a Category 3, pretty much all the way from where it was supposed to be a 4. They downgraded its intensity to a Category 3, and then it starts to curve into a Category 2 far before it reaches the United States coast, which is a good thing. A good thing for us. But it seems like, I don't know if it's going to head directly at Nova Scotia or if it's going to curve a little bit more going back out to sea in the northern Atlantic. We're just going to have to see and wait to see how it develops from that point on. So the good thing is that it seems like it's downgrading in intensity. So I don't think it's going to. I mean, it doesn't look as bad as, what I anticipated when we first saw it, and it was looking like it was going to be jumping up to a Category 4, and its track was basically directly headed towards the eastern coast of the United States, but it looks like it's going to turn and, start to dissipate before it actually reaches the coastline of the Atlantic and the Northeast here, so that's a good thing. Still, it might whip around a little bit of rain up in the Northeast, might have some of that going on, but shouldn't have too much of the high winds and everything. And so if we look at Larry, you can kind of see what it's doing here. 120 mile an hour wind speeds, 150 mile an hour gusts, 958 millibars of pressure, and it's only moving 14 miles an hour, but it's moved quite significantly from the last 2 or 3 days when I've been reporting on it, where it was back here as a Category 1, and then jumped up to a 2, and then it was expected to jump up to a 4. This was actually a 3 and a 4. So it's been done, it's downgraded in its intensity for a little bit there. Dangerous surf and rip currents expected along many western Atlantic shores later this week due to large swells from Larry. So that is going to be probably something that you're going to have to worry about just going across the coast here. There might be some high waves and high surf. So if you're out on the water, I know a lot of people, make money fishing out there or do something like that, or there's a lot of commercial freightering and things like that that's going out there. So yeah, if you're definitely out there, you're going to get some rip currents and some high surf that's going to be out there as a result of this. That's probably going to be the primary threat. So sustained winds, but present movement northwest with 305 degrees and 14 miles an hour. So it is moving closer to us, but I think with this track, the way the National Hurricane Center had set it up, I think it's going to start to turn away. It might be a pretty wide turn, so I don't know exactly how close it's going to get to the coast before it starts to make that turn back out to the Atlantic, if it does. So just kind of looking at all this information here, and this just tells some general information about the hurricane inside here, but that's really the biggest threat is the surf and swells that's going to be as a result of it. And there's probably going to be some rain that's going to be coming towards the coast with that, but it shouldn't be, at this point, I don't think that it's going to be really outstanding because of its track. It's not coming that close to shore unless the track changes, of course. Hurricanes have been known to do that. Sometimes their tracks are kind of unpredictable, and they can only predict this thing for about 2 or 3 days out accurately. Both the NAM models and the HRR models sometimes are not in agreement. Sometimes they show very different things, and they can only predict. They can only get like an accurate description of what it thinks it's going to do within about 48 hours. So about 3 days out, the third day is usually kind of unpredictable. And it's kind of hit or miss, you know what I mean? So we have to look at both of those models as well as CFS and GFS to see exactly what we think it's gonna, what we anticipate to think, it's gonna do. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this development and see how this thing proceeds, within the next couple of days, and give you guys another update. Whatever it is, it'll be happening within the next few days. I mean, as we're looking at the categories here, you can see 9/7, so that's 2 days from now. Let me see here. 9/7, 9/8, 9/9, 9/10. So by the 10th, you know what I mean, it'll be right off the coast, close enough to where it's going to really affect those rip currents and those waves. It's going across low pressure systems, outflow boundary lines is probably going to be this front. By then will probably, you know what I mean, be somewhere out here by that time, so it'll be closer to. Hopefully it won't intensify or strengthen the storm, but we'll have to see how that kind of works out with the pressure and the atmospherics going on. The other thing I was looking at was a website that I like to call Earth, a global map of wind and weather. And I like to look at this from time to time. Right now, this is the sea surface temperatures. So when you look at the sea surface temperatures, you can see all that warm hot water that's going on in there. And it's normally, in any normal case, this is what really fuels a hurricane, is that warm water. And that, and when I looked at the sounding data for this, I looked at the the deep, intensive sounding data through Pivotal Weather for the storm. And I noticed, I mean, it's not really looking that bad, but there's a lot of moisture going up into the air, and lifting condensation height is very, very low, which means that there's a lot of warm water vapor that's going up into the atmosphere, up at mid-levels or high levels right there, and that's going to be fueling hurricanes, is, warm water vapor. So, but I think that it might be dissipating, because as it gets closer up to this area here, it's going to start reaching cooler temperatures. And when it reaches those cooler temperatures, then it gives it the ability to lose a little bit of its energy and its power to really manifest into something dangerous. So hopefully that's the case here. But still getting these deeper reds right here. And I didn't know if this would intensify or what it would do, because this is going to be those warmer temperatures. You're getting really, really nice hot sea surface temperatures in here, as well as the Gulf, where you're getting these purples. And that's really warm temperatures around here. And we do have that tropical depression system that's right here, which doesn't look too bad. I was looking at the data for that as well. And regardless of its formation, heavy torrential rainfall is definitely going to be the biggest threat with that. Is a 30% chance. They say it's near zero, but 30% chance of formation within the next 5 days. But by the time that that happens, it comes across this front, and it's kind of riding on this front right now. And then once it gets into the country, it'll probably dissipate because it's not getting that energy, it's not getting that strength that it needs really to form. These are disorganized thunderstorms that are happening. That's going on. Disorganized rain bands, things like that. So once it gets into the country, torrential rainfall is definitely going to be the primary threat. So you're going to have some flooding issues here. You can also see some flood warnings that are already popping out. Flooding is going to be the primary threat, as well as the torrential rainfall. But other than that, this doesn't look as bad as what I was looking at when it first started coming. They said it 30% chance of formation, which is not too bad, but we didn't need another tropical storm on top of this area that has already been hit by Ida. So that's a good thing that this is kind of a weak system that just might end up being just general thunderstorms. That being said, the convection outlook for today, just general thunderstorms around here. Nothing really that hazardous. A lot of rain. That's what it's looking like. This is still the wet sector in this area of the country here, and we still have some warm temperatures, and I'll show you that in a minute here. But that's what I was looking at, is sea surface temperatures, to find out exactly what this is doing, because the atmosphere doesn't look massively unstable in these areas here with this around this hurricane. So maybe that's a limiting factor as far as its potential to become a really dangerous storm. The other thing is the track there that's just kind of, moseying around and curving like this, staying away from the coast. So the high surf out of that and the rain would be the primary threat from this hurricane at that point, since it's not coming directly to the country. And then temperatures, when we're looking at temperatures, see the temperatures are still, they're warm, but not not really warm, not hot, not like what you're getting out here, what you're getting out here, So, and a little bit chillier temperatures out here, and that might be a limiting factor as well that I was looking at. So, National Hurricane Center's got Larry Posted up here, it says 105 knots, 120 miles an hour, 958 millibars. Still pretty much the same kind of details, and this is the curve for it. Looking at the wind possibilities there, and you can see the track a little bit more accurately. So you can see this big bulb that's around it in green, and these are going to be the affected areas with tropical storm force winds. And I know that there's a lot of commercial shipping that's out here. There's a lot of different businesses and industries that work out here. Sometimes, you know, I don't know if fishermen go that far out. I don't really know much about that, but definitely if you're out, you know what I mean, close off the coast of the Atlantic at these times, even off the coast of Maine up here, you're definitely going to have to watch out being on the water, because this high surf and everything is going to be that's going to be a product of these higher winds that's going on. These are tropical storm force winds, so I wouldn't recommend being on the water in these days. This is for the 120 hours, 5 days. So for the next 5 days, if you're out on the water, definitely be careful. Rain is probably going to affect the northeast from this as well, but not so much with the winds and the high surf along the coast. So you might, if anybody is living on the coast or near it out here, you might have to watch out for some flooding issues with that high surf coming up and stuff like that, and the heavy rain as well. All right, so that's just a general look at the hurricane. Now, if we go, let me check out the threats for today. Excessive heat warnings. We got some red flag warnings that are going on out in the west. Heat advisories over Louisiana right there as well. And a lot of that is because of that warm temperature that's in the Gulf that's coming up there, especially with that tropical system that's right there. There's a lot of warmth going on. Got some flood warnings out, some flood watches in little places here. But, I mean, it's cleaning up a little bit. You know what I mean? These areas got some flood warnings up here in the northeast, which with this hurricane coming right on the coast, that might get a little bit worse as the time progresses, as in the next 5 days, as this hurricane kind of comes closer to the earth, or to the coast. Excuse me. It's early in the morning. I'm drinking my coffee. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as the hurricane. Let's check out some models here. So if we look at GFS, we actually can go and do this. Let's go to tropical, and I'll be able to show you a little bit about what we're looking at here. This is Northwest Atlantic. Let me go down one. All right, so there's the hurricane right there. All right, just off the coast of the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and everything right there. So what I did is I just kind of put the because of the track kind of moving in this direction, I put the sounding data pretty much right in front of it to see exactly what the atmosphere was doing. And it doesn't look as unstable, you know what I mean, as it would with like a tornadic system or anything like that. Do have a critical angle. It's got critical angles on all these sounding datas, which is something to look at. And the cap isn't really that bad, even with these, but the LCL height is very, very low. And that's something to kind of pay attention to with hurricanes, to see what kind of lifting condensation you have going on around and in that hurricane. And it's pretty much every single one that you click on, anywhere you click it, you know what I mean? You can see that moisture going up into the atmosphere, and you can see that LCL height is very, very low. It doesn't really matter where you put it out at, you're getting the same result. And high winds, and you can see those heavy winds on that wind field that's going on there. Now if I put it on the other side, then you're going to get the tornado warnings. You're going to get the significant tornado environment if you put it on the other side, because of the way hurricanes spin. And a lot of people anticipate this when hurricanes come to over land and they hit rural areas and things like that, and they're always worried about tornadoes. But usually on this side of the hurricane, you're not going to get as much of that tornado action. But on this side, you will. This side is usually always going to be the side of the hurricane that's going to be more likely for tornadoes. For anybody who is going through hurricanes in the future, this is what you got to look at right here. So anywhere on this side, you're probably going to get some kind of tornado threat. There it is. because of the way that a hurricane spins. So as it spins, with all that pressure that's going on, it's going to spin off these little spin-ups right here, and all that pressure, and that's where you're going to get those tornadoes. It's just the way that it turns. All right, so I don't think that we have to worry about that threat since the track is not really coming to the coast, so that's a good thing. But this is kind of what I wanted you to see as far as the sounding data with that as well. Let's go back and we'll go to the NAM model, continental US, and we'll take a look at everything else that's going on. Complex reflectivity. Alright, we're at the 5th 12Z hour. So over here, you're probably not going to get any sounding data with NAM out here. Oh yeah, that does give us some. Alright, so with NAM, you can see the wind fields aren't that bad, but you can see all that moisture that's going up into the atmosphere. Even up and out here, if we just poke it right off the coast of the Atlantic, then you can see a lot of that moisture that's going up into the atmosphere right there. Alright, so that's making that whole entire thing a big wet sector. So I don't know how that's going to fuel the storm when it gets there, but with all that moisture going up in the atmosphere, that's kind of, it could de-strengthen or could strengthen the hurricane. Who knows what's going to happen, but that's a lot of moisture that's going up. Not too much heat, though. That's, I think, the limiting factor that's maybe keeping it at weak levels, is that there's not an overabundance of very, very high heat that's going up into the atmosphere with that moisture, so that might be something that's going to keep it dissipating and weakening as it goes further north, which hopefully that's a good thing. Alright, so these storms here, just general thunderstorms from what I can see, going through Arkansas and Missouri and those kinds of areas. Got a little bit of that moisture going up. Wind fields are stable, but not too bad. Marginal severe storms. Might have some thunder and lightning that's going to be attributed with that. Possibly some hail, but low chance. Probably a low percentage of that. So it looks like all these are going to be general thunderstorms moving west. It looks like they actually kind of make their hit and then they go down. You know what I mean? So these people have actually been going through this over the last about 12 hours or so, and then now it's going to start to break up and dissipate and move out. The other thing that I've noticed, the thing with hurricanes is that you see all this going on and everything like that, and this hurricane is out here, and a lot of times this hurricane just sucks all this in. It's trying to grab at anything it can to really strengthen up that energy and get that stuff up there. So as this is kind of all this stuff is moving to the east, it's trying to suck all that up and just gain its energy and its strength, trying to beef itself up. But with the cooler temperatures, it's not very supportive for that. And we're in that time of year. Yeah, we're in that time of year where that's just not. It's not feasible for it. So that's a good thing, especially in the Atlantic. If it was the Gulf, it would be a very different situation because the Gulf is always pretty warm with the with the jet stream and with the North Atlantic current. So that's what we're kind of looking at. Less than 2% for tornado risk, all areas. So this is just general thunderstorm outlook. It looks like the convection outlooks are just going to be pretty much general thunderstorms for the next through day 2 and day 3. So nothing really to worry about there. Let's go back and check our atmospherics here, and I'll show you a little bit about what our temperatures are doing. This is that low pressure system that's kind of going through there with that front, and it's going to cool things down a little bit, which is also going to be a destabilizing factor. Getting a little bit of those warmer temperatures around Louisiana, still pretty up there, and it's still pretty wet. Now that wet sector and that heat sector is kind of minimalizing. It's cooling down. It's just taking a little bit of time. Still got a little bit of those warmer temperatures going up to the 60s and 70s along the eastern coast right here, but where you're seeing it up here, getting cooler temperatures up here. Everything is starting to cool down a little bit. Florida still up there in the 80s in some places, as well as southern Texas and southern Louisiana. So those warm sectors for thunderstorms moving through, that could possibly increase your convection levels a little bit. Hopefully it won't in this time of year. But if these stay like this, you know what I mean, you could have some bad thunderstorms rolling through there. Not likely to have so much tornadic activity this time of year. So that might not be the factor. It just might be some severe thunderstorms, but hurricanes are really our primary threat in this kind of season. Now you can see all those cape levels that are out in the Gulf stemming from this hurricane. Right off the coast here, 2000s in the cape levels, 3000s in the Gulf, and that's where you're getting that tropical depression that's right there. So it's really, really making the atmosphere unstable off the coast there. And so that's where most of your storms are going to be coming from, regardless of this tropical system right here. Regardless, you know what I mean, torrential rainfall, really, really heavy downpours, and some flooding is regardless going to be the primary threat on that. You're going to have that anyways. There's nothing you can do to avoid that. You know what I mean? So no matter what the storm does, whether it forms or not, wind shear's coming across the north right here to go into the east, and I actually walked outside my house this morning, and I could, you know, you can walk out yourself and see all that stuff just brushing to the east. It's really, you're just moving, and that's a wind shear just blowing everything out to the Atlantic, and that's what that hurricane's trying to grab up. It's trying to pull all that stuff up. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, I'm coughing. I just woke up. Not too long ago. Surface vortices, so you're seeing that surface vortice attributed with all those tropical systems that are out there, but everywhere else, surface vortice is very, very low. Supercell composite, not even there. Tornado parameter, not even there. EHI, intensity, you know, a little piece of it right there in the coast of Mexico, but nothing real high. And now you're looking at that LCL height. Now you can see this right here, this dark green. Right there, that's a 500 millibar. That's a 500 millibar LCL height right there. That's very low. So that's where that instability is right there in that right there. You can see the dark greens right here in the center of the country where we got the current storms going right there. That's all 500 millibar LCL height. So that's you know, that's a low LCL height, and that's usually what you have attributed with these storms. We got storms up here in the northeast as well. It's like a whole entire band going around of 500 millibar LCL height. So that shows a little bit of that instability the atmosphere is going through with this thing. It's just kind of pulling out to the Atlantic. It's all just trying to suck it up and, you know, get its intensity going, but it's not. With the lower temperatures, I think it's going to keep it limited for the most part. So anyways, I just wanted to do an update. I know that I had some people asking in the comments about if this was going to be really bad or not going through the next 5 days, and I honestly don't think it's going to be as bad as I don't think it's going to be as bad as what you know, everybody was kind of making it out to be. You know, and I know that some people that make videos, they're just like, oh, this is going to be terrible. You know, just, you know, massive hurricane coming and blah blah blah, and, you know, massive outbreak and everything. And, you know, some of these people, I mean, hey, they look at the data, maybe they're right, but, you know, at the same time, I think that they're just, you know, some people, I think, just kind of make it a bigger situation than what it is. We just have to look at the facts and calm it down, you know what I mean, just so we can understand everything. So as this kind of progresses to a Category 2, I think beyond this point, I think they might downgrade it again, depending on what happens. I mean, if I had to take an educated guess, you know, I would say that I would think that the National Hurricane Center is going to downgrade it again, if I had to guess. Now, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I'm just taking an educated guess here, though. But we'll see what happens within the next 2 or 3 days and see what the National Hurricane Center says beyond this point as far as its track and its status. So definitely come back and check out what I got going up. I'll try to keep you guys updated on any other severe updates that I got going on, and I hope that kind of informs everybody fully of what's going on. So everybody have a great weekend. Come back and see me again, and I'll do some more updates, probably maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the next day, and let you know what I got going on as far as updates from there. Alrighty, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have a great day, and spend time with your family, and just have a good Labor Day.